Hello, welcome to Boardgame Basecoats, and here we are painting the Thug Brawler for the TMNT Adventures board game. On that other side was the newer version, and here's the older version wearing blue jeans. With these figures painted, this represents the last of the basic minion type figures that I'll need to run the initial scenarios for the board game. So once these are painted up, we can go ahead and move on to getting some of that shot. So for this figure, I decide to go with my darkest skin tone. Now this is something I've never done before, but it is something that I'm really looking forward to trying. And as you'll see, it's not the most successful, and this is probably something that I will go back and revisit just to try to get a bit more contrast, but that's okay. As ever, I am experimenting. Now here is an experiment, so as I do see that the skin is quite dark, I want to kind of get a head start on the highlight, so I actually do a kind of zenithal highlight with a lighter brown, which is a little successful, and actually I probably could have done a much lighter brown to make it a bit more distinct, but again, it was an experiment. Now here I've decided to put green, a kind of military green pants on these figures, as opposed to blue jeans, even though there were blue jeans on the original design. I wanted this to be the real differentiation between these brawlers and, say, the gunners, for example. And just like I did with the skin, I shoot a lighter green from the top to try to get a differentiation in the pants. And as we pause here to check that out, yeah, not too much of a difference, but it was worth a try. Now I'm going to go ahead and wash the skin. Now I do use a different wash between the two different figures, but because there isn't that much difference in the skin beneath, there isn't a huge difference here, so that's okay. It does give me some darks in the recesses at least. So we're going to move on and paint up the shirt, and of course I'm going to use my mix of airbrush medium and regular medium, a little bit more of regular medium because I am brushing it on. So I did paint these figures in the summer, so just trying to find ways to retard the drying when that heat comes in is definitely a bigger challenge for me. Not really something that I'm used to. Now here I'm going to go ahead and paint up the boots, pretty much using the exact same technique that I did for the boots on the other figures, on the gunner. But this time I'm a bit smarter about it. I do not paint the base first, so that does save me just a bit more time, which is nice. So now, speaking of another point that is the same, I'm going with this black leather on these figures to match the others. And so here I'm washing the boots. I did not show this step previously, but I did do it when I did paint up the boots. And yeah, so here this time on these figs I didn't have to do nearly as much touch-up because I was a bit smarter with my steps. Now then, red. So this is something that unifies all of the bad guy figures. They all have a spot of red on them. So by now I'm once again thinking about those foot soldiers and putting some red on them. Here I'm attempting to get some more differentiation in the muscle by getting some striation. It's not that successful. Now here, this hair is actually the same hair color I did use on the gunners. So checking out what I've got. So there's spots of red, and I'm thinking got that black bandana on the top of that figure, but maybe it could be red, but I do just want to get going. So as I was painting Alopex, the metal pieces on Alopex, I did go back and splash on the metal pieces onto these figures, so the brass knuckle and the belt there. And yeah, that wraps up this one. So again, with these figures painted, this represents the last of the basic figs. So now we can get to the board gaming. Thank you very much for stopping by.